My name is Daulat Mahadik. I'm from India. I graduated with an MBA from NYU Stern in May 2025. So first, in New York City, the variety of companies and opportunities in the city is incredible. Stern does a fantastic job of bringing New York into the classroom. Then there are the people, second years, alumni, professors who I connected with for coffee chats even before I submitted my application. All of them gave me a sense that there's a culture of giving back in the community. What also stood out to me were the experiential learning possibilities at Stern. Programs such as the Stern Consulting Corp, Stern Signature Project, they teach you how to apply academic frameworks in real life while working with Fortune 500 companies amidst your 2 years at Stern. And of course, Stern's reputation in finance, right? Professors like Ashwath Damodaran were another major draw for me. I personally was looking to break into the financial services industry and saw how the school's strength in that field is unmatched. So almost 40% of my cohort were international candidates, which speaks volumes on the diversity of my class. For example, in my accounting class, my classmates from Europe taught me how the IFRS standards treat R&D expenses differently as compared to the US GAAP process. My Japanese classmate could teach us how the traditional Keiretsu structures influence consolidated statements analyzed in their region. So learning from various backgrounds and opinions in my classroom was fabulous. Another major highlight would be the incredible support from the careers team in tandem with the consulting club. They offered us multiple mock interviews, case prep sessions, access to curated tools which were tailored to take on consulting roles. The program also allowed me to participate in various leadership roles while I was participating in the student club realm. I was the president of the university's podcast show called Stern Chats, which allowed me to learn the art of storytelling, thought leadership, and then professional clubs such as the Entrepreneurship Club, Private Equity Venture Capital Club, the Graduate Finance Association. They helped me gain a cross-industry exposure while I was focused on the consulting track. And also at the start of the interview, I mentioned how awesome the experiential programming at Stern is. So almost every semester, you're given the opportunity to travel to the UK, South Africa, Australia. I traveled to New Zealand during my spring with the University of Otago and worked on important questions such as how can New Zealand incorporate AI and robotics in the construction sector? How can New Zealand increase economic productivity during geopolitical tensions? Or how is the financial services as a sector different from New Zealand compared to the rest of the world? To my surprise, I also learned how to become a sommelier or a pro wine taster. So now every time I sip on wine, I'm bound to reminisce my time at the program. I walked into Stern thinking leadership is for the apex CXOs or the VPs of the firm. That changed completely. Stern has a unique offering when it comes to evolving your leadership style. The Leadership Accelerator 3-credit program at Stern forces you into unfamiliar circumstances which help you receive real-time coaching from expert faculty at Stern. One of my 3 specializations included the leadership specialization, where I learned leadership from courses such as Leadership in Organizations by Dean Nathan Pettit. I understood how to establish power and influence in an organization from Professor Dolly Chugg. I understood how to deal with difficult and repetitive conversations from Professor Jennifer Wynn. And finally, I learned how to deal with strategic change from the likes of Professor Lechner. While walking out of Stern, I realized that leadership is not only for the apex or the top gun, it's for everyone across layers and hierarchies in an organization. So Stern provided me with tools and frameworks to apply at every layer and role I take on post my MBA. As an engineer, I enjoyed solving tech challenges, but over time I realized I wanted to solve a broader spectrum of business issues that impacted an entire organization. Consulting offers the opportunity to work across industries, functions, using structured thinking and problem-solving skills in a very strategic context. While working as an engineer, I found myself curious about the strategic decisions being made above my role. Who made the product choices? How did they approach market entry? Who made the resource allocation call and why was it made? Consulting gave me that platform to work directly with senior executives and be part of those high impact conversations. As an engineer, I worked on long project cycles. I wanted more diversity in scope, faster learning. Consulting offered that. In just a year, I could work across industries, geographies, different problem types, accelerating not only my leadership skills, but building my business acumen as well. So, in a nutshell, problem solving at a broader lens, exposure to the C suite, and a fast paced environment drew me to consulting after a career as an engineer. Academics and networking went hand in hand for me at Stern. It's quite challenging in the first year when you're settling in and recruiting at the same time. So, if you are in the full time program like me, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. is when you're tied up with classes. So, you need to schedule your networking conversations around lunch or post 5 p.m. Classes at Stern typically run from Monday to Thursday, and you have Friday to network even more, attend more conferences, engage in club activity. What I did was, whatever I learned in class, I used that to strike meaningful conversations in my networking circles. For example, coming out of my strategy class by Professor Marciano, I could talk about strategy, concepts, frameworks in my consulting networking conversations. Or coming out of my economics class by Professor Myers Side, I could easily impress leaders by an economic outlook I had analyzed. Of course, from the second year onwards, when you start specializing and you're done with your summer internship, the schedule starts going easy on you and you can accommodate more networking. When I look back, one of the biggest challenges I've overcome at Stern is expanding my mindset from a regional thinking to truly global. So, before Stern, most of my professional focus was centered around South Asia, working with Asian clients, understanding region specific regulations, thinking through problems from largely a national context. So, for example, say in South Asia, I used to think that access to digital healthcare solutions as a problem affecting 700 million people. But now, when I look back and think about it, that number scales to over 3 billion people affected worldwide who lack adequate healthcare infrastructure. So, this shift in thinking from national numbers to a global impact has helped me reorient my approach to problem solving at my time at Stern. All through the program being in the heart of New York City, I got to hear from incredible speakers and thought leaders who came to campus. So, from banking to consulting leaders, C suite personnel from various industries, I could network with them at conferences hosted by Stern. Many of them were our adjunct professors who are active on Wall Street. So, MDs at investment banks such as Morgan Stanley, partners at firms such as BCG, McKinsey, PwC Strategy, and renowned hedge fund managers. They brought in real time market insights from the front line directly into our classroom. So their presence made learning incredibly rewarding, and I think it's helped me shape and mold the way I think today. I wanted to work on Wall Street, so what better option than consulting, right? Because you're consulting banks, insurance companies, everyone on Wall Street. So that was amazing. So coming from a STEM background myself, it is very likely that you are comfortable with problem solving, structured thinking, data driven decisions. But when I transitioned into the MBA world, I realized that business problems are often messy. Not everything can be solved with logic alone, right? So my biggest advice to STEM professionals is don't just lean on your technical skills, actively develop your comfort with ambiguity, storytelling, people dynamics. That's where the real growth happens from what I've seen. Take courses that stretch you, like leadership, organizational behavior, marketing strategy, engage in group projects and consulting clubs where you will work with people from non-STEM backgrounds. So I found those interactions essential in shifting my mindset from a solution-first mindset to a more holistic one. Also, don't underestimate the value you bring in. So in my consulting interviews, the ability to break down complex problems or structure my thoughts clearly was something I developed as an engineer and was a major asset for me. After my MBA, I'm excited to be joining PwC Strategy and as a strategy consultant, where I'll be specializing in the financial services industry. It's a space I've grown increasingly passionate about, especially after my coursework in finance and strategy at Stern. One thing that might surprise you about the MBA Stern is just how tight knit and supportive the community feels. Despite being at the heart of one of the busiest cities in the world, you might assume that in a place like New York, everyone's constantly on the move and focused on their own hustle. But at Stern, there's a real culture of paying it forward. So second years go out of the way to mentor first years, professors are really accessible, and even alumni respond to like cold emails with warmth. So it's a community that surprises you, not just with its professional excellence, but with its human connection.